Hi everyone, Michael Carolyn's my name. I'm one of the trainers here at the Australian College of Professionals, and I have with me Rosie Sullivan, our owner, director, principal. So Rosie, we're going to talk about supervision guidelines.
Everybody's talking about supervision guidelines.
Everybody's talking about them. They're all a little bit worried about them. Obviously, we've got to get some new ones and update a few things. So tell me, when did the supervision guidelines come in play?
Oh, we could do a whole history lesson here and talk about supervision guidelines came in 2005.
Yep.
And however, major change happened in March 2020 on a whole range of levels for the property industry. But one of them was that they issued new supervision guidelines and linked them to Section 3132 of the Property and Stock Agents Act, which meant that obviously it is now complicit upon agents to follow the supervision guidelines, although it was always that way. But it was certainly then linked to the ability for fair trading to, issue financial penalties if people and agents didn't follow those and didn't supervise the people within their organisations properly.
And that's what it's all about, supervision.
Well, it really is, and that's it's in the name.
That's it.
And these are the guidelines to get that supervision going. Is this a legislative requirement? Yes, because it's
it is.
As of 2020, it was linked to Section 3132 of our Act.
Yep.
So yes, they do have to happen. We had a minor change last year in March, and now we've got a structural change happening as of which occurred 1st of July.
Okay, so what can the Australian College of Professionals? What can we offer as far as the new supervision guidelines? What's going on now?
Yeah, I mean the supervision guidelines have always, there were 10 requirements under the old guidelines. They're now looking at 3 set requirements. So there's not a lot of changes when you first read the guidelines. There are structural changes, but the changes that are there are actually quite significant in terms of the impact that they will have on agency practice. It's looking at establishing adequate systems to monitor the conduct of all agents. It's about providing guidance, through induction training, through ongoing training, and that was that training plan that was brought in last year.
Yep.
And then it's about performance management and reviewing what's going on within your agency and looking for, points of improvement, points of non-compliance, what training, systems can be put in place to actually make that work better.
Yep. Okay.
So what we can do.
Yes. So with what people have bought our supervision guidelines, and I, without being simplistic about it, I work and you do very much so under the KISS principle.
Yes,
keep it simple, stupid, and
I think
very popular.
I think a lot of there's different versions out there, and if you're happy with a version, then great, run with that. Just so long as you do it. But yes, we do.
That's the big issue. They've got to have it tailored to your business. Yep.
And yes, we do offer supervision guidelines and have done for quite some time. So for those many agencies that have purchased our supervision guidelines, there's a 50% discount on getting the new guidelines.
The new ones, right?
I know over time we've sent out updates as required. This is more of a rewrite than an update. Yeah. So I tried to get it for an update.
Yep.
It didn't happen.
No.
So I needed to actually rewrite the guidelines, put them into the different structure about how it's now being looked at. So, every person who's bought through us before will receive an email from us.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Giving them a discount code, and they will, be able to use that to purchase.
Okay, cool.
The new guidelines. Yep. If people have purchased our policies and procedures manual that sits hand in hand, obviously, with the supervision guidelines.
Yes.
If they've purchased those through us before, they're just being sent the update.
Okay,
so there's about 10 pages worth of information and some very clear guidelines on where that sits into your existing policies and procedures.
Okay,
and
so
that's at no cost.
So that's no cost. Well, that's pretty good. Anyway, policy and procedures and supervision must have in your business. Full stop. End of section.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they actually, it's quite clear in this. They've made it clear in this new iteration of the supervision guidelines that they need to be separate. They're separate documents. They're separate. There's separate practices, I guess, on how to manage your office.
Okay. So policy and procedures is the same as the supervision guidelines. We make it easy for them. Red writing is we tell you what to put in there, and black writing's legislation.
Yeah, the basic those sorts of documents, they're Word documents.
Yep.
If it's in black typeface, leave it alone. It's legislation and required. If it's in red typeface, tailor it to your agency.
Perfect.
And there are examples of how you would tailor that to your agency. So they're really easy. And there's only 10 pro forma checklists that go along with that. I know there are a lot of checklists. And
they're in Excel spreadsheets and things?
Some are Excel.
Okay.
Some are just guidelines about, a sales file checklist, a property management file checklist, or if you get into commercial, the same thing. If you're in strata, same thing again.
Yep.
So different policies and procedures for different,
Areas.
functions within
in the
categories of license as we look at that.
So where do they get the information?
Well, they can go straight to our website, and there's information on supervision guidelines.
Yep.
They might already be on our website because you're watching this video, which is embedded into our supervision guidelines page.
It's on the front page of the website?
Front page of our website. Scroll down a little bit, and there's a tile you can click on for supervision guidelines. So, and I mean, the other thing where you learn more about this is it's one of the mandatory topics that Fair Trading have set for the 2024-25 CPD year. So, and it's a biggie.
Yeah,
so, in other words, get your CPD done sooner rather than later.
Okay, so speaking of CPD, what's the requirements now?
Guess what? There are changes, Michael. As every year, we get changes in CPD. We've been doing CPD since September 2003 when it first entered the property industry. So after 21 years, we think we're pretty good at it. But this year's requirements, 5 hours.
Right.
For a license category.
For each license category, right? Yep.
Now, obviously, there is overlap.
Yep.
The same way for those people last year knew that if they had more than one license category, there's only 3 licenses: real estate, stock and station, and strata.
Yep.
If you've got real estate and stock and station, then you have to do the real estate 5 hours of CPD. I'll come back to that 5 hours in a second.
Yes.
And then you do the extra topics. Now, the way we've packaged it here at ACOP is that's an extra 2 hours.
Yep.
Okay, so the same if you've got real estate and strata, or you've got strata and you've got real estate. So your strata might be your first one, you'll do your 5 hours in that, and you'll do your 2 hour add-on in real estate. So that's your choice.
Okay.
Obviously, that's all there for the licenses. The mode of training hasn't changed from last year, so it's either face-to-face, where we can have a maximum of 40 people in a classroom.
Webinars.
Interactive webinars where we can have a maximum of 25 people.
When you say interactive, what does that mean?
It means that the trainer is live sitting in front of the computer in this room with this background, doing that webinar and interacting. So cameras need to be on. You need to be having significant interaction with the trainer.
Right.
So no change from last year, and there's an assessment at the end.
And there has to be.
So there has to be an assessment at the end.
That's right.
So, but if you choose the online option,
great, online.
It's 10 hours.
10 hours. Fantastic. Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Now, that's some people's choice. It certainly reduced the number of people last year that did online because of the double requirement.
Yeah. And again, it's all about learning new things. And as you rightly said, this year's CPD is certainly one of the major topics, the compulsory topics Fair Trading have got is supervision guidelines. So,
where we go through the fact that, those 3 requirements. It's the 3 requirements. One is people leadership, 2 is procedures to ensure your legal compliance, and 3 is about professional conduct monitoring.
Okay.
Now, what's new with the requirement 1 in terms of the people leadership? It's about a licensee in charge must actively assist with professional pathways, so verifying work experience. Okay. So there's been a bit of an issue with that in the past.
Okay. So that's that logbook you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, licensee in charge can only sign off on what they've actually seen someone do.
Seen people do, yep.
So that's all they can do. And if somebody moves on to another agency, then it's the new licensee's issue to sign off on their part. So a person could be lodging a workbook, a work experience logbook with a number of licensees in charge.
Yep, okay.
Indeed, over the time.
Yep.
It's also about induction training and training in operational procedures. So it's saying they're giving requirement 1 is about that legal requirement to supervise.
Okay.
And whether that is about any nominated licensee in charge, whether they have 1 staff member, whether they have 50, whether they have 200.
Yep.
5 offices, 1 office, whether they're an independent contractor, whatever it is.
Okay.
And I know that's the question we often get.
It is. The independent contractors, do they need supervision guidelines and policy and procedures?
Well, of course they do.
Right.
Of course they do. However, they're going to almost identically reflect the umbrella body that they're working under. That they're an independent contractor too. But it's going to be a little bit different because, a real example would be they're not running a trust account.
Sure.
So when it comes down to their trust account, the financial guidance issue, which is in supervision requirement 2, that they'll simply talk about that they don't run a trust account. They use the parent company
to them.
And it'll be 3 lines
identified. Yep.
And the rest of it's gone.
Okay.
So no authorisation requirements, none of that.
Not running a trust.
So it all comes through that.
Same as if you're only a property management office and not doing any sales, or only a sales office not doing any property.
Then the 3 issues that come into supervision requirement 2 around underquoting and price representation and all of that, then it'll be not relevant. You're not doing residential sales.
Yep, perfect.
So if you're only a commercial agency, the same again. Although practices might be come into that, and
as you go through, that's true.
So the second requirement identifies who's responsible. It identifies your core laws applicable to the agency and what you're doing. Yep. It identifies your key risks under 4 headings, which are your financial governance, your licensing, so that people are licensed for the right purpose.
Okay, yes.
So if you want to sell a business, you need an unrestricted license.
Unrestricted. What's unrestricted license mean?
It means when you look your license up on Fair Trading, you have a Class 1 or a Class 2 real estate.
Real estate. If it's got that tag,
sales or leasing, you've got a restriction, which means you can't sell businesses.
Can we lift that restriction?
Oh, of course we can. Talk to us.
Okay.
And there's the qualifications, the education, the training, that ongoing requirement for training in the training plan that came in last year.
Yes.
And then there's the normal conduct of licensed premises. So we're back onto all those old favourites: the complaints register, the gifts and benefits register, the information security, which is all of our cyber security, privacy protection. Last year in CPD we talked all about the 13 Australian privacy principles. They haven't gone away because we just talked about it last year. They have to be part of what we do as an agency. And then, of course, there's all the underquoting issues. So for those of you who are doing residential sales. And, of course, there is a requirement now, and Fair Trading will contact each licensed agent and let them know that if they have something to do with residential sales in any way, they will be required to do additional training on top of CPD.
Okay.
But it'll be through, because it's a Fair Trading prepared
a government
topic,
yep.
And it's a government initiative, and it will be sitting through a TAFE portal.
Right. Okay.
And that information will go directly from. They're not an approved provider because they are.
Yep.
They are the government.
Yep.
And it's not something that the approved providers will be offering. It is something that will just be through that portal.
Okay.
So that's an addition for
CPD. Okay. So CPD year changed, obviously, as well.
Yeah,
so
financial year, 1st of July to the 30th of June.
Yep, good.
So none of this March to March rubbish anymore.
Yep.
Just the...
Nice and easy,
nice and easy. Financial year, do your CPD, get it done.
As
I said, supervision guidelines, get it done soon. Get your CPD done sooner rather than later. It'll give you a really good, solid understanding of what the supervision requirements are and why you need to be doing those.
Yep.
And how you need to be doing those.
Yep.
And how to make it easy. It's not about having 7,000 checklists. And because the fact is, if you've got checklists, you'll just tick them off because they're a checklist.
Yep.
It is about demonstrating within your business that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that can simply be through, looking at your file and going, yes, all of this is done. So it's the random audit. It's the third requirement of the supervision guidelines is monitoring.
Yep.
The agency
as well.
That you have adequate systems.
Good.
So it's not just about having, the 7,000 checklists. It's about actually having the systems that make sure that the right things happen in the right order and protect the consumer.
Physical demonstration that you've got those documents,
Exactly right. So that, is there induction training to teach people about your cyber issues, and about confidentiality and about privacy and all of those things. Does every person within your office know where the privacy principles are? Why do you is that part of doing an open home and taking people's names and numbers? All those sorts of things. And having requirement 3, having performance reviews, having a performance review system and actually implementing it.
Yep.
So, and making it a really positive side of it. And so that's all part of
with your staff
in our supervision guidelines manual. And in our training. Yeah.
So again, where can they go to see all this?
acop.edu.au. So go to our website.
Yep.
Read about it. Ring the college. Send an email. Send a carrier pigeon. Don't care. Get in touch with us. We can help you with it. We can if you are a little bit different from everybody else. And there's lots of people who are who are running, very, bespoke agencies.
Yep.
And we're in niche markets. So, talk to us about, what you think you need and how we can help you through that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we can do that. But, just be in touch with us. That's what we're here for.
Well, thank you very much. I hope that's been helpful. There's a lot of information there, as I said, but again, the website is going to give you all that help as well. And get those supervision guidelines, get those policy and procedures manuals, download them, and away you go. Good luck to everyone.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Rosie.
Bye now.
See ya.